boundaries versus barriers and how to know the important difference. Welcome to this video regarding boundaries versus barriers and about how to know the important difference to be able to live your intended peaceful, passionate and purpose-driven life. Now, coming from an emotional abused background myself, I have had many difficulties with setting healthy boundaries, and to be honest, my healthy boundaries were crossed so often that I couldn't even see the difference between a healthy boundary and my own closed up barriers anymore. Now, not knowing the difference is a big obstacle in living our intended purpose-driven lives. And my intention is to take away that big obstacle from you by giving you clarity and insight to be able to recognize the difference between a boundary and a barrier. Imagine this glass is filled with crystal clear water with a wrinkle-free surface as the representation of feeling independently fulfilled, connected, and at peace when we are not distracted. Imagine this diamond, which becomes crystal clear visible once we have cleansed our glass from the very root up, as the representation of our authentic intended purpose from which we are designed to flow over in purpose-driven abundance naturally. Then what is a healthy boundary for this crystal clear state? A healthy boundary is everything that protects this open inner peace and passionate purpose-driven flow. Let's represent this open umbrella as the symbol of protection of our open inner peace and passionate purpose-driven flow. Cleansing and protecting our crystal clear glass and diamond flow state is the key to live our intended peaceful and passionate abundant purpose-driven life that each and every one of us is actually born for. For example, when someone would try to squash your joy or your enthusiasm, then setting a healthy boundary to prevent this from happening again is important to create your intended joyful flow. And you can set this boundary by communicating your boundary, like for example saying, I don't like you to squash my enthusiasm. If you do it again, then I cannot be my true self with you, and then I will leave the space. And then if they would say, oh, you are way too sensitive, or that was just a joke, or they would do it again, don't communicate it again, but just leave the space and protect your own passionate, enthusiastic life that you are intended to live. Or when you ask for silence or peace to be able to create something which needs your crystal clear focus, and someone reacts to your question with starting to clean the room with a loud vacuum cleaner, then setting a healthy boundary and giving yourself that required space is required to protect your purpose. Or when you agree upon a value or a standard of an exclusive sex partner relationship, when you start the relationship, and during the relationship your partner changes direction, then it is healthy to set a healthy boundary to overcome this together or to leave the partner to protect your peace and your purpose. So what you need to remember is that a boundary is about protecting your crystal clear glass and diamond flow. A healthy boundary is taking responsibility to make sure that our glass and purpose gets and stays crystal clear. Now, what is the difference between a healthy boundary and a barrier? Well, imagine this glass is filled with dirty, troubled water with a very restless surface as a representation of our unsolved fear, restlessness, pain, and consequential diseases when we are not distracted. Then a barrier is our wall of control to not feel our unsolved feelings again. A barrier is a distraction away from our own unsolved feelings and away from our own responsibility to solve them by controlling others and outer environment all of the time. Let's represent this rain on our umbrella as the representation of this controlling barrier behavior. This rain or controlling barrier behavior can be manipulation, blaming you for their own issues or behavior, punishment with bad behavior, heavy energy, deliberately disturbing your job and peace, threatening you, judging you, condemning you, etc. Now, it is clear that it is necessary to use our umbrella or set healthy boundaries against closed-up barrier behavior. A barrier makes us run into controlling behavior distractions away from our intended purpose-driven core. A barrier closes up and is not taking responsibility for our intended liberation and life. A healthy boundary makes sure we live our intended purpose-driven open core. A healthy boundary is opening up to completely live our intended liberated peaceful life without obstacles. A simple way to recognize the difference between an open healthy boundary or a closed up barrier or wall is take away all of the distractions or of being busy and control. And if you still feel passionate and at peace, you are setting healthy boundaries when you are making decisions to protect this peaceful state. On the other hand, if you take away all the distractions and control, and you start feeling restless, irritated, angry, or even aggressive, you most likely have barriers necessary to overcome, at least if you want to live your intended, independent, liberated life as well. When someone wants to connect with us, but makes us aware of a distraction what stands in between the possible connecting flow, and we start getting angry or even say that they cross our boundary, then that is not really our healthy boundary we are setting, but a barrier or a wall. It is a barrier instead of a boundary because we use it as a way to close ourselves up from our own unsolved feelings that lie underneath that surface when the distraction is unmasked and taken away. I thought I wasn't loving by setting healthy boundaries because it also means to not always do what others want me to do. But true love has nothing to do with always doing what others want us to do. True love means connection. True love means connection or connecting with our true core and connecting from there with others people's core who are willing to respect our boundaries. Communicating our boundaries at the very beginning of the relationship is the fundamental base, of course. Now, healthy boundaries and being able to see them crystal clear begins with solving our own troubled glass of unsolved issues until only the crystal clear, wrinkle-free surface and inner diamond is visible, upon which we can base our healthy boundaries. Now, what does this video do to you? Please let me know in the comment box below and like and share it with your loved ones. If you want to go from any closed up barriers that still stand in the way of your own liberation towards the intended peaceful, passionate, purpose-driven, abundant life with healthy boundaries, and you haven't done that yet, click here. Now, learn to cleanse your troubled glass towards the crystal clear diamond you are born to experience. It is the greatest journey you can ever make, so enjoy your complete liberation process.